Hello, I'm Malcolm Gallagher, the host of BBTV Today's Leader Channel, coming to you from the studios of BizVision in the UK. One worrying element of the global pandemic is that many companies around the world seem to have slowed down. Working from home or hybrid has slowed them down. Their innovation has slowed down. Their supply chains have slowed down. Their investment has slowed down. But just like the heavy goods train or the huge ocean-going tanker, such businesses cannot, on a given reopening day at a given time, suddenly get back up to speed. But acceleration, velocity is what they need, and need quickly, if they are, in some cases, to survive. And it must start at the top. My guest today is an authority on speed in leadership. In fact, he's written a definitive book, Lead with Speed. So let's say hello to Alan Willett. Welcome, Alan.
Wow, Malcolm, thank you for the introduction. I'm excited to be here. You've got me inspired already.
All right. Listen, we're safely distanced across the pond, aren't we? You're in Ithaca, New York. And I was just telling you before, I've actually been to the island of Ithaca in Greece. So is there commonality?
And on the boat, the SF Ithaca, if I remember correctly.
Yes, and that as well. But the island of Ithaca in Greece, another piece of useless information, I've got loads of these, Alan, is supposed to be the petrified remains of Ulysses' boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to go there now.
You have to go there, yeah. You have to go there, yeah. And you have to pop to that little taverna that's just on the tip, you know. Tell them I sent you. Alan, here at BizVision, we are totally convinced that businesses need to get back their performance, productivity, capability, and do it fast. But there's no magic fairy dust to throw over the company to get change started. So I'm truly looking forward to hearing your ideas to help such companies. Viewers and listeners, my chat with Alan will be in three parts. First, I'll ask him, what does he mean by lead with speed? And his thoughts on why he thinks businesses just should adopt a speed mentality. In part two, I want to ask him about the risk and dangers of going for speed, especially if parts of the businesses are not aligned. And in part three, I'm going to ask him about managing, measuring, and motivation around the speed agenda. But first, Alan, can you briefly tell us who Alan Willett is and about your book, Lead with Speed? I love the catchy title, by the way, but what does it aim to do for leaders and companies which may presently be in the doldrums?
Okay, about me, let's see. Well, I started out as a kid at a dairy farm, and believe it or not, I learned a lot about speed on the dairy farm. My dad was the dairy farmer of the year, year over year, when other farms were going out of business.
Right.
and really, I learned a lot from my dad about, other farms didn't do, computers were brand new, expensive. He had them. He was tracking the data on every single field, on every single cow. He had data. He worked hard.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just working hard. It was really having knowledge of how to do things. So that's a little bit about me. And I took that work ethic, and also the thinking about it throughout my career, because I was surprised when I went into the real world that they didn't have data. And a lot of things I did was to help organizations get data.
Yeah.
So, and I'll give you a little bit of sense of the book, if you will.
Yes, please.
So, I learned this a few times when I was thinking about this. I was realizing I want to tell this a little bit. In high school, I was a good runner. I won most of my races. I was good, fast.
Right.
And went to college. All of a sudden, I was slow. I was on the cross country track team. I was with people that were fast in all their high schools. They're all the best. And so I just tried to work harder, run more miles, work harder, run harder in the race. None of it worked. It turned out I had to do something different. And when I started to do that something different, really think about it, think about pieces of preparation, the pieces of the race, and the mindset attached with it, then I started to be top of the heap again, front of the pack again. I had to do something different. And the book really is all about one of the laws of speed I talk about in the book, which is trying harder doesn't make you faster. It makes you tired. Makes you tired. You have to do something different. That's the law.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
I got you now. Yeah. Yeah. Use the noddle, as we call it, Let's move into part one. What in practical terms do you mean by lead with speed? And why do you think businesses should adopt a speed mentality at this still uncertain time?
Okay. Well, two parts on that. First, your question brings back another story for me. One really top 500 companies, big company, their research and development center, they bring me in and they say, Alan, we need your help. I say, what do you need your help with? I said, give them preparation. Tell me, just prepare, tell me what your problems are. And they had a list on the whiteboard when I walked in.
Right.
I was like, about 12 items. I looked at the items and I went through the items and I put next to it W, O, and C. And they said, what are those? Okay, the W's are whining.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
I feel mean at the moment. I wasn't really mean.
Yeah,
I was being nice to
yeah.
them. Whining, observation, concern. And I said, so that's what I see here. I don't really see what you're after. What do you need?
Well, did you mean there were lots of W's in there, by the way? And viewers and listeners, Alan means whining, WHIN, not the whining that we all like at 5:30.
That's right. Would you like a little cheese with your whining?
Yeah, yes, go on.
And what I got them to do is they said they want to go faster. And then I said, faster to where?
Yes.
And that was like this for them.
Yeah.
They said, well, we're under pressure always to go faster. I said, faster to where? How do you know you're going faster? It took them about an hour of me working with them to finally come to the conclusion that they had to innovate faster than their adversaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, ironically, I went to the Navy the very next week to work with them, and same kind of conversation. It came down, innovate faster than their adversaries. That's really bottom line of what speed is about. And what I learned in racing too, by the way, back to my college days, I was like, it's not about running fast. It's about running a little bit faster than your adversaries.
Yeah. Or running more intelligently as well, isn't it?
Right. But I didn't have to win by a million miles. I just had to win by an inch.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And I can go deep on that. I'm not going to, but it's just the mindset has to be important of what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Now, your other question was, we've been in this pandemic. We've been in this global pause, if you will. Guess what? Some companies didn't pause.
Yep, that's for certain.
Running cross country races. I love running in 80-degree weather on nice trails. Cross country is in the fall usually. It's raining, it's snowing. It doesn't matter. You got to get out there. So, it's interesting. Some of the companies I worked with really did just sort of fold up and just kind of go in hibernation. Other companies I was with, we had the conversation like the day the travel freeze came, and we had this big event planned. And I said, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to use this to make this better. Alan, how can we make this better? Well, it has to be a video conference now.
Yep.
Now we can invite people from all over the world. We don't have to have everybody travel. So instead of having a group of 20 key leaders, we made it to be an event of 70 people, 70 people that were in India, China, England, Hungary,
Yeah.
Egypt, various parts of the United States. We made it a global event, and it really went spectacularly well. We made it better than we would have if we had it in person. There was things we lost, but look at the things we gained.
Yeah.
And when we're coming out of the pandemic, we're going to have some more in-person events, but even those events are going to be hybridized now.
Yeah.
So this organization used it as a stepping stone to go faster and better than they were before. And now we're using it to go faster and better yet again.
Yeah.
So to me, yes, the pandemic has been difficult for businesses. It's been difficult for families, for people. I have friends in India that it's been very tragic for, and we cannot diminish that. At the same time, our organizations have to stay focused on thriving. Our leadership has to have compassion, but they can't lose track of what the mission of the organization is and what the good it does for keeping people employed, keeping their clients serviced, etc. There's a need for speed. We're in a global competition, and everybody feels the pressure. And what I teach people is how to be able to respond to that pressure and have fun doing it.
Excellent. I got you now. Totally. And I'm total synergy with it as well. Alan, before we move to part 2, let me just remind everyone of your website URL for you and for your book. Now, obviously, viewers, you can see it on the screen behind me. But for listeners, let me spell that out. Alan, A-L-A-N. Now, write this down for Willett. W-I-L-L-E-T-T, alanwillett.com. And your book, Lead with Speed, is published by Career Press. Right, part 2. We've wised up to the need for speed, and leaders are gung-ho. But I want to ask you about the risks and dangers of going for speed, especially if parts of the businesses are not aligned, all the wheels spinning in the right direction. How do leaders overcome this clear and ever-present danger?
Okay. Well, there's a bit to unpack there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I try to get my money's worth,
Yeah. Make sure I come back to the last point. I might get spun up on the risk factor, because I want to talk about the risk factor, and I want to talk about how failure can be useful, and then I'll talk about how to make sure the parts are aligned. So first off, the risk of going too fast. My cross country or track coach never told me that.
Right. Yes.
So but I get what you're saying. There's a saying that it doesn't matter how fast you're going if you crash.
Yeah.
And now there's truth to that. But the way I look at risk is this: the speed and risk it's a combo. If you want to get something important, it's going to be protected by risks. What I say is it's like your great author J.R.R. Tolkien. The Hobbit. Was the gold just sitting there for Bilbo Baggins? No, it was protected by what?
Go on.
A dragon.
Don't let my grandson hear that. He's really into dragons. Yeah, you're right. There's a protection. It's there, isn't it? When I was concerned about the going for speed, you see, I've met a lot of leaders who leave their people behind because they're too busy running forward and they forget to communicate effectively.
Yes, but here, let's bring it. This is where I'm going to say we make friends with the dragons.
Right.
Because risk is just the inherent part of trying to go fast. Like we could have just folded up and said we're not going to have the event. We have to wait for travel to come back. And I had some clients that did that. And I was like, we shouldn't do that. But they
Mm.
said, no, we're just going to wait.
Yeah.
They just slowed down to a stop, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have going after something important, it's going to be protected by risk. And here's what I say: make friends with it. And this is what I say: you want to bring everybody in and say, here's what are all the things we should be scared of? What are we afraid of? What are the things that could go wrong? Okay, how likely are these? Now let's give each of the people a mission to take care of that part of the dragon.
Yeah. I got you
make
now.
sure
Yeah.
make sure you feed the dragon. Hey Dan, you feed the
Yeah.
dragon.
Yeah.
Hey Sally, make sure you shine its armor. It's going to be our friend.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, bring people along. The
Mhm.
risk is speed is thrilling, but if you do it without this, bringing the people along and recognizing the dangers of speed, you're going to fail faster. Now, the other part I want to say, which is, I hope, you know, to set the really great records in running, you got to risk blowing up.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you're going to fail. If you're going fast, you are going to have these failures. But,
Mhm.
yeah, you're great. Churchill, what did he say? Uh, Winning isn't certain, but failure is never fatal.
Yes. Yeah.
Rarely fatal.
Yeah.
And what I do is I say you've got to be able to pull out speed from failure. And what I mean by that is you got to take it as an acceleration. We failed. What did we learn from it?
Yeah.
And I have a whole section of the book, Lead with Speed, dedicated to outlining how you get how you get speed out of failure. And
Yeah.
the first step is to whine,
Hmm.
but you keep it short.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, what did we learn? And then you come up with 100 ideas of how to go faster. Every time I do one of these events, people come in depressed and they leave excited. And they get going faster after that crash. It's
Right.
amazing. Final part. I know you had 3 questions in there. And the third one you said is, how do you keep everybody alive?
Hmm.
How do you bring them along? I think I gave you a couple parts of that right there.
Yeah, you did. Yes. But
Yeah.
but this time people are very much out of alignment, because even if they were before the pandemic slightly out of line, I think they become even more out of alignment because of the pandemic, because of home working, because of hybrid, because of worries, not just of their business and everything, but relatives lost or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it is. I do not want to dismiss the difficulty of the challenge. So,
Mm.
like if we're doing Olympic diving, what's this? A difficulty of a 10.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
it's a triple backflip with a twist. Uh, People working from home, people with relatives that have been sick or died. Uh, so, to me, there's a parts of leadership that just are inherently important,
Mm.
and there's 3 things I'll note. One is the big why, to make people stay people focused on what the purpose of your organization, whether it's making like Crayola crayons, which is to spread joy and color in the world,
Hmm.
or you're working on one of the modules, and one of my clients does, like the intelligent software inside cars to make sure that they protect the driver and the passenger and pedestrians, etc. We're really making great strides in having vehicles be safer and better. But there's inherent danger of the software being wrong.
Yes.
So we got to keep people focused on the purpose of what it is, not the
Right.
deadline,
Hmm.
not the profit margin, but why are we in this business? What are we trying to do? The second thing I want to note is to keep people constancy of purpose is keep people engaged. And the second one is managers have to have empathy, not necessarily sympathy, but empathy. Understand the situation, talk to people, and make sure that we're in this together for the long run. There's
Yeah.
an old saying: if you want to go fast, travel alone. If you want to
Mm.
go far, travel with a tribe.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
certainly that's what the Pilgrim Fathers did when they arrived in nearly 245 years ago, since coming up soon, since your Declaration of Independence, and goodness knows what it was when the Pilgrim Fathers, but they came as a tribe, didn't they?
they sure did. And I'm not sure if I agree with that. We're still part of England. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
listen. We gave you. We don't want it back at the moment. We've got enough problems over here.
all right. Yeah. I just want your health care.
Yeah. No, you can't have that. We're proud of our NHS. Listen, Alan.
You should be.
Yeah. My final part is to ask you
Yes.
about the 3 M's of managing, measuring, and motivation around a company's speed agenda. It's easy to take the foot off the accelerator and lose speed, isn't it? It's easy to forget to measure and to motivate. What's your thoughts and solutions here?
Well, I already did part of it, which is really getting back to the purpose. But, uh, you know, I think the biggest thing managers get wrong, leaders get wrong, is they reward sweat above something different. And here's what I mean by rewarding sweat. I've seen this more than once, and this is the essence of what a high-class, world-class organization is in somebody that's going to struggle. Green team versus a red team.
Right.
Okay. Red team. Red team is working really hard. They're doing tons of work, and they get to the testing phase of whatever they're building. And they're working overtime. There's tons of problems, but they're putting in, they're there late at night. They come there early in the morning. Some people sleep in the office. And eventually, months late, they get it out the door and it basically works. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, there's a green team. They have data. They really look very contemplative. They take their time designing. They are doing these really boring inspections where people criticize each other work. They deliver it to test, and it works right the first time. And they go home. Here's the essence of where leadership can be brilliant or kind of horrible. What do they reward? I have seen managers reward the sweat and believe that the other team just had something easy. Well, the other team must have had something hard because look how hard they worked. They get a cake. They get a party. They get senior management. They got all the attention from senior management all along because senior management, there was a big problem. So senior management was involved. This other team, senior management never needed to get involved. They were fine. They had something easy to do.
Yeah.
So what you need to reward, what you need to recognize is you got to bring in these teams that did this and hold them up as a mecca and say to the rest of the organization, show us what you did. Show us how you achieved this. Give them recognition about their process, about their results, and about how stellarly they serve the purpose of the organization. People like to be recognized not for sweat, but for great work.
Yeah.
And that's the essence to me of this. And in Lead with Speed, we talk a lot about what are the nuts and bolts of how to get faster. And a lot of these are not glamorous. I just want to note, there's an old expression, innovation or invention is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Yes.
I teach people how to sweat faster.
Right. I got you.
This is about how do you improve the engines, the powerful engine you have in the organization for developing innovation. How do you get that engine faster? How do you get that engine more powerful? How do you get the people more motivated to take ownership of that, from the leaders down to any individual in the organization, where they have data, they have the idea, and they're able to make things faster? There's simple things. I'll just give one that I've been working on. I do a weekly newsletter. It used to take me about 90 minutes per newsletter. Think about that.
Yeah.
So 90 minutes times 52 weeks.
Yeah.
I now have it down under 30 minutes, and the value is just as good.
Right.
I've saved I've saved 52 hours of time every year by
Mhm.
working, by looking at where my time goes and saying, hey, can I get this done faster and I figured out how to make it done faster and still make it very valuable. And many people say it's better than ever. So
Yeah, yeah,
these these are these are simple things you can do. Back to my dairy farm and back to my running. It's it's the laws of speed. That's what I say. It's akin to the laws of speed. If
yeah.
I take this pen and drop it, what will let go? What will happen? It falls.
Mhm.
It's a law. It's a law of speed. If you do the things I'm talking about, they're laws of speed for your organization. You have to know as a leader, there's two things you have. You own the accelerator and the brake. Most leaders know that they are the speed. They don't, the teams go as fast as they do, but most leaders don't realize they're also the limiting factor to how fast their teams go.
Yeah.
If you do the things I talk about and lead with speed, you're actually going to get your people passing you. And that's what you want.
Brilliant, brilliant. I started by saying that we here at BizVision are totally in harmony with Alan's lead with speed thinking. It's time now to regain competitiveness, time to recover with resilience and confidence, and time to do it fast. Thank you, Alan Willett, for a great interview.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure to be here.